Tell them who we are, Bob.
Jackie Gleason, and away we go.
Jackie couldn't be here tonight.
I know
Unfortunately,
that.
I'm stuck with Bob.
Right. I'm sitting in for Jackie Gleason tonight.
Get your foot hung up my mic
Yeah, I'm
cord.
going to get wrapped up in that cord there, and folks, I'll be spit out of the speaker on your computer.
So, how's your ducks doing?
My ducks, they're excellent, folks. If somebody out there in cyberspace needs some ducks, I've got 4 of the prettiest little old ducks you ever seen. And there's one of them I can't sell because she argues with me. Every time I say something to her, she just right up in my face, hissing back at me. And but I probably, for enough money, I just might would get rid of her. You know, you ever see a car dealer says, I bought this car, I'm going to keep it. All that means is he's going to get more money for it.
You know what that means?
Right. Sure it is. So, folks, if anybody needs some ducks, they're Muscovy ducks. They have not started flying yet, but they can do some eating.
I don't see no. Do they lay eggs?
Yeah.
Well, it'd be something.
Oh,
for
they're,
you, man.
they're prolific egg layers.
Prolific.
Prolific. I mean, they'll lay all summer long and right up into cold weather. In fact, I got some big ones out there at the house that she hatched off in freezing weather, and I never put them up, never put them under incubator or anything. She raised 6 of them, never lost a one, right during some of the coldest weather of last year.
Huh. Take them out there at the cabin, put them out to pasture there on the lake.
Well, probably something, if you had a little pen to put them in where they could be fed and go in at night to get away from the varmints.
I'm wanting them to get out there and bring some fish in.
Well, what you have to do is put a ring around their neck so they can't swallow the fish, you know.
The kind of fish I want them to catch, they can't swallow.
What you need is one of them great herons. There's one down on the lake at my farm. He's been there for years.
Herring.
And when he takes off, he looks like a B-29 going up across there. Most people don't even know what a B-29 is.
Well, it's between the B-28 and the B-30.
Well, but I think B-29, was that not the largest military airplane we ever built?
Well, it's a little short of the Spruce Goose.
Well, that wasn't military. That was used his private plane there.
It was.
He
was building it to sell to the military.
The Spruce Goose never got over 8 feet above the water there, I believe, in was that in which harbor they were in there in San Francisco? Probably San Diego harbor.
Well,
is the Spruce Goose memorialized somewhere?
Yeah, it's in a museum.
Huh?
It's in a museum.
Okay.
They turned it into a gymnasium and a football field.
I don't doubt it. But the B-29, I believe, had 8 engines.
I don't know.
I think it was 8-engine aircraft, and it was designed to fly out of whatever bases you want to fly it out of and hit the Japanese mainland and come back.
That'd be 16,000 horsepower.
Probably. I guess. Depends on how much horsepower those Whit and Pratt and Whitney engines were putting out.
Whit and Prattney's. Well, now I was looking. I watched a little video clip on one of them things recently, and it was the experimental version. And I believe that it was the original, it was the first one they built, the prototype. And I think it was what was eventually come to be known as B-29, and it had 2,000 horsepower engine on it. And the 2 wheels weighed over They weighed 2,600 pounds apiece, the landing gear, the two of them, and then they had that front wheel on the back, in the front. But the two main wheels weighed 2,600 pounds apiece. That was over 4.5 tons of landing gear.
Right. They were pretty good sized aircraft, and I don't know how many of them they built, but I understand there's not but 2 of them left.
I don't know. Did you go up there and see the Glacier Girl?
No, I didn't get up there.
I saw
that would have destroyed my faith in global warming.
Well, it would kind of cause you problems, I guess.
Yeah.
If you were really sold on it.
You often wonder, man, they must have been going awful fast to bird that airplane 200 some feet under ice and snow, and not letting good air pilots to it and put a scratch on the airplane.
Well, there's a whole fleet of them, and they parked them and didn't get around to going back and getting them. And all they had to do is borrow a gas can and go back and get their airplane, and they stayed there from 41.
41 to 42.
Yeah, before we entered the war, they stayed there from 41 to 92 or 3, and it was 268 feet down to it.
Under snow.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, that proves your theory on global warming.
No, that just proves that, there's a lot more moisture in the air because of global warming. That made more snow.
Right, that proves your theory of global warming, because if it had not been for global warming, they'd be 400 feet under.
That's right. I'd like to point out, had they been underneath Dixie concrete, they'd still be there.
I guarantee you that. They wouldn't go up there and fly them bad boys out there under Dixie concrete.
You would never get them out. That Dixie makes a permanent tune.
Said that right. I'm going to have to get some of that permanent concrete. I got 2 holes I'm going to fall off in my driveway if I don't do something to them.
They're wanting to tear down the pyramids. The Muslim Brotherhood's wanting to tear down the pyramids.
Who is?
Muslim Brotherhood.
Are they?
Yeah. And the Sphinx.
Huh?
And the Sphinx.
What about like the Muslims over there that destroyed the statue of, what's
Buddha?
That fat boy's name?
Buddha?
Buddha, yeah. One says around the stomach all the time.
If they had just built more of them things out of Dixie concrete, they'd spend all their time trying to tear them
up. It would
up.
drive the Muslim Brotherhood up the wall.
If you ain't never seen
That's
the Muslim brother climb a wall.
Did you ever think about those tunnels over there? Why don't we just pour a little Dixie concrete in there? Man, I guarantee you there won't be a moving nothing back and forth.
They could do that down on the border, couldn't they?
Yeah. I was just thinking, before I would do anything to stave off the what's coming up first of the year, on one requirement, first requirement would be that you secure the border. You don't do no immigration reform, you don't do nothing, you secure the border first. Then, after you secure the border, we can talk about what to do about legal immigration. But we can secure that border if we would.
Well, I think we need to be figuring out what's going to happen when Campbell County goes over the fiscal cliff.
Well, there's a little article in the what's that other little paper?
Journal?
Huh?
The Journal?
Yeah. It's a Christian Journal about being some criticism of Mr. Mumbles, and that he was in the crosshair on some of the commissioner's sites, and but he's been there about 20 years.
Yeah. He's like J. Edgar Hoover. He's got something on everybody.
That's exactly right, yeah. And I guess maybe The man don't look too healthy. In fact, he looks a little bit like Festus.
You mean
Festus on the Monsters.
Uncle
Festus.
Uncle Fester?
Yeah.
What? Fester.
Fester, yeah.
Yeah, Uncle Fester.
Did you know? Didn't old Dennis Weaver die?
Yeah, Festus did too.
Huh?
Festus did too.
Oh, I know that.
Did you know Festus was an excellent singer?
Was he?
Yeah, he was one of the sons of the pioneer.
Oh, well, yeah, I thought he was the one that sang "It's the Monster Mash."
No.
He didn't sing Monster Mash.
No. And Dennis Weaver thought he could sing.
Who?
Dennis Weaver, he just knowed one song.
Well, you know, Sons of the Pioneer, you know what their theme song was? See them tumbling down.
Tumbleweed, yep.
Bearing their way to the ground.
Don't change the channel, he'll be done in a minute.
Lonely but free I'll be found, drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweed. You didn't think I knew that, did you?
Festus could sing better than you.
I know he could, but he wasn't half as pretty.
I believe I think he was one of the Jordanaires for a spell too.
I was saying what?
That was Elvis's backup.
Yeah, I know who the Jordanaires were, but what were they supposed to do besides backing up Elvis?
I don't know, sung.
But that wasn't on TV or anything, you know, for us to...
I don't reckon. Let's see here. What's his name? Ken Curtis. I ain't found if that's his name. Oh, come on. Ken Curtis.
Well, that's a different Festus from the Monsters.
No, this is...
Huh?
Huh?
I'm talking about the Uncle Festus.
Fester.
Uncle Fester, whatever his name was
Yeah.
on the Monsters.
No. Fester was on the Addams Family.
Was he? Okay.
Let's see.
I bet you can't tell me who played the part of the shark on Jaws.
Flipper. Flipper.
Linda Lovelace.
Oh. A shark with deep throat. Well, it don't say. Have to go at it a different way, I guess.
How about Uncle Fester? Now, is that the one that could sing?
Yeah. That's the one that could sing.
How about Uncle Fester?
I don't know if he can sing or not.
He's the one that sang Monster Mash.
No, he wasn't.
Well, I remember old Ken Curtis.
Well, I guess I was wrong about the Jordanaires. You remember Cannon?
Yeah.
He was a radio version of Matt Dillon. Bill William Conrad.
Yeah.
You seen Digger lately?
I was at Digger's today again.
Is he still down there in the middle of the road? Sawmill Holler,
Just as
562-5444?
proud as punch right there in the middle of the road, you know, greeting everybody and working. I got him working on 2 propane heaters.
You think he didn't have enough to do before you started on that?
Well, I don't know. You know, he said that good cook over this house was a cooking Thanksgiving dinner. I said I might just have to change my menu and head over there because that woman can cook.
562-5444 if you need any propane.
Go right on down there. Tell them to save you some of that turkey leg. Elizabeth is cooking a turkey. I think that bird had to weigh 15 pounds.
Well, I have to recommend that if you've got any deep frying to do of a turkey, you do it with propane and you do it outside. I don't recommend doing it in the house, but Digger's propane would be the ideal fuel to do your deep fried turkey.
Because I've got a turkey cooker going up there right now inside.
Deep
no
fryer?
Turkey in it, no deep fryer. This is water.
No, that's different. A deep fryer is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know that.
Because I've seen people set houses on fire with them deep fried turkey fryers.
You can do that. Now what I do, I cook up a bunch of white potatoes and mix some stuff in it for my dogs, you know, because you buy 50 pounds of white potatoes for $9 and something, and it's got a lot more food value in it than dog food, because so much of dog food ain't about 23% of it.
Well, what do you put in it to get them to eat your taters?
Well, a lot of times I will put, if I got some old meat, I'll put it in there. If I don't have any old meat, I'll open up a couple of cans of meat dog food and dump it in there. And man, they just go right after them potatoes.
You've got a bunch of Irish dogs.
Yeah, they're Irish setter.
That's what
You know, the only dog that's ever really bit me, I was down at Chapel Hill as a young boy, probably about 7th grade, something like that. And I went running by the bell tower there, and some old Irish setter come out and chased me down, bit me right on the rear end going up through there.
Well, I've been bit twice. One of them was Claude Love, had a whole pack of dogs. I got to his house, and here come 25 around the house, and one of them grabbed me with a breadsheet leg. And I went out Bob Andrews' house one time.
And that Chihuahua bit.
And there's a Chihuahua attacked me. I was trying to get a movie of your house and that there mess that you had out there that was so prominent in the discussion of the previous political.
Right, yeah, trying to say said my house was dirty and everything I did was dirty, you know, and
I'm just wondering, is your right toe longer than your left toe?
Well, I don't know, but
I noticed your right toe's leaking out.
I think it's lonesome. It's trying to get out of there.
Well, there ain't got no hole. I figured your right toe must be longer than your left toe.
In all honesty, my left foot fits a little tighter than my right one.
Well, if you're going to do your own cooking, what's Rainbow going to do? They got the best food in town.
I'm cooking for my dogs, man. I can't, man, if anything I get from Rainbow, you don't think I'm going to give it to my dogs. It'll never make it to the dog lot. I'll have it consumed before I get there.
Down at Rainbow Restaurant, they've got the best breakfast you can get. He'll give you a head start, and you can hold your breath then till you get your turkey done along in the afternoon, and be ready for some more the next.
Right.
Yeah. We recommend that. Rainbow Restaurant, right above the Speed Hump Dip, right down here.
My daughter's coming in tomorrow. It's her 26th birthday, and she loves to go down to Rainbow and get the breakfast bar. And you know, she's a pretty good sized girl. You know, she's almost about 5'11", something like that. And Well, she's not all that big. She weighs maybe 137, 138 pounds.
That's your daughter?
Amanda. But now she can put some food away.
Festa started out singing in the with the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra.
Tommy Dorsey, I remember him.
And then he went he married John Ford's daughter.
I always liked John Ford as an actor, and of course he was a pretty good director too.
He starred in the Giant Gila Monster in 1959.
You know, they're getting real slick with these movie productions now. You know, sometimes it's even hard to tell whether or not they're using real dinosaurs.
I know it. They've got them pretty real.
Right.
But I can always tell that artificial dinosaurs.
I can tell the difference.
You remember them there clay lizards they used to use all the time?
Yeah.
You can learn a lot around this place.
Yeah. And you know, there is a, isn't it Sumatra where they have the dragon?
You mean,
Is it on the island of Sumatra?
you talking about Nancy's daddy, Frank Sumatra?
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. They got them there Komodo dragons and...
Maybe that's what it is, Komodo dragons. Is that on the island of Sumatra?
I don't know. They was in the news just recently. They was afraid they was going to eat the president when he went over there to visit somebody over in Indonesia. The Secret Service was concerned.
No such luck.
Found out they were not the killer kind. They were the docile bunch.
These are the ones that were vegetarians, weren't
Yeah.
they? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they don't eat people too good.
Right.
If you used to happen to get lizard bit and need to go to the hospital, let me recommend Vital Care.
I guarantee you, they'll come and get you in Sumatra.
Even if you're lizard
It might
bit.
cost you a little bit more than Medicare would want to pay.
But they'd have one of them there breathing things for you. One of them there,
right.
what do you call them?
One of them ventilators?
Yeah, a ventilator. They can ventilate you. You get your lizard bite
right.
took care of. 562-9370 for Vital Care.
You know, they are good people. They give good service. They don't cost the taxpayer one dime other than what the government insurance, whatever's paying, costs.
Well, they don't cost the local government anything.
No, it doesn't.
In fact, they supplement the income of the local
They sure
government.
do. They're paying 22 people a decent wage, I'm sure, and that money is being spent here, and they don't have to drive all the way home at night. You know, they're here, they're home base, and that's so sad to me. I see these people coming home at night, 5:30, driving like a bat out of Hades, just dying to get back home. And I've only known 3 or 4 that finally said to H with it, we'll just move closer to our job. And because there's just hundreds and upon hundreds of people that go out here. It looks like if you ever been to Mammoth Cave and seen all them bats leave out there about late in the afternoon. That's what it reminds me here, all these people going out here to go to work. And it's a shame. You know, it's old Walmart building on the old Roses building down here. Got $700,000 on it, and I know what's his name, Goins, objected to me saying that they wasted that money. And I said, well, let me explain myself. That money was designated to go for industrial development. I said, anything you spend it on other than what it was supposed to go for was wasted. All they did is rode up by his house and did a number of things up there. And they gave everybody to come in there and had their hand out. They gave them money out of that windfall that they got from the Roses building. And all kind of organizations showed up. It's that way in Campbell County. I believe they can actually smell when you got more than $5 in your pocket. What are you finding out about Ken?
I was just reading about him being a son of the pioneer.
Was he?
Yeah, and letting you do the politics. I quit politics.
Right. Well, might as well start analyzing and evaluating.
We could do it impartially. We could throw off on everybody, but we already tried that.
Oh, Lord.
I got to go up Napa and get me one of them there forklift fuel pumps again. That has been on there about 10 years, and I think I'm needing another.
Well, you mean they ain't going to last for 10 years?
That, and if that's what's wrong with it.
60-day guarantee?
It's, I think 6 years. But it's probably just stopped up with junk, you know. It sets a lot. I'd say the pumping stuff's working all right, just can't get his breath good.
Yeah, they got a little filter on it. Goes down in the tank.
I don't know.
An inline.
I don't know. It's got a filter in or not. I just run it.
Right.
It's been around. It was one of the forklifts that they unloaded the Ark with.
Right. Probably.
562-2529 or 9406. 562-9406 if you need to ask
went up
about
there
some
and
auto
bought
parts.
a set of pads for my Brook. I can't believe how cheap them pads were.
I can.
They were less than $10.
They don't try to make all their money off of one victim.
They were less than $10.
A piece?
No, for both of them.
For both of them?
Both front
You
ones.
got 4 different pieces there for less than $10.
Yeah, I mean, there's
2 on each
one
side.
for each wheel.
2 for each wheel.
Huh?
2 for each wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a pretty good
But
deal.
I mean, I got one set of
One set, yeah.
pads for each wheel.
Well, that's kind of amazing. I
Well,
know
it
you get
wasn't.
I know you get anything for $2.50 a piece
I
anymore.
didn't either. I went down and said, well, here's another $20 shot all the smithereens, and $9 and something was what it was with tax. $9 and maybe 76 cents or something like that.
Counting tax?
Yeah.
Wow. And did they put them on for you?
I asked them.
Prices like that, I'm
That's what I'm
surprised.
doing with that knot on the side of my head. I got them on. They're on.
Where'd you put them on?
On the Brook.
Oh, the Rook. Yeah, I saw your boy up there putting them on, Dave.
Yeah, he
Well,
pretty
it stopped now?
He pretty good. Oh, we ain't tried that yet.
Oh.
He's pretty good on mechanic.
He said he was.
Well, he is pretty good, you know. But he's bad like a lot of people. Goes around and asks questions that he already knows the answer to, you know. And I ain't gonna ask you something I already know, you know. But he is a pretty good mechanic, and we're going to open up a tire shop up there. You know, he worked for Kitts over there for a pretty good while. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's a pretty good tire man, and we're going to do some tires and maybe some just bonnets prepared, like some brake jobs and that sort of thing. So I think we do okay. We're going to stay up from 10 in the morning till 10 at night.
Well,
I probably will equip a vehicle for some emergency road.
did you say 7 in the morning till 10 at night?
10 at night. 10 in the morning to 10 at night.
Oh, okay.
And because there's no place you can get a tire repaired, changed, or anything around here after 5 o'clock. And I probably will equip a truck with for emergency road service as far as tires and things are concerned.
Well, folks, we've got a little special presentation. We're going to start here in about 3 minutes. We're going to have another special presentation tomorrow night. We're going to be on the television.
Yeah, we are.
I am
If I
anyway.
come in and say, "Hey, oh, folks, how are you?"
I ain't sure Bob's coming, but I'll be there, I reckon. If you get to needing any roofing metal or anything like that, you know, siding or windows or doors, or maybe a storage building, I'll be open, Mar. Come on down and get you some of them.
Right, do that.
And Bob, he's got a whole bunch of fine
Oh,
stuff up
just
there.
ain't no telling what I got. I got anything from stoves to refrigerators and washing machines and dryers and
Washing machines and drying machines.
air compressors and
You got air compressors?
yeah, power wash. 2 or 3 air compressors. Power washers. I got electric power washers. I've got gasoline powered power washers. I've got any number of things, you know.
What kind of air compressors have you got?
I've got one. That's all of them are electric.
Well, that's good.
Well, no.
Them there pedal kind is out of style.
I'm looking for one of those gasoline powered ones you put as a service truck.
Okay.
So I'll probably be, see if I can't find one of those things.
You got one of them that'll run a nail gun that you can carry around in one hand?
What?
Air compressor.
I know. The one I got is it's got like maybe a 12, 15 gallon tank and electric, and looks like that blue one I used out there a lot with the wheel off of it, except it's smaller. And then I've got one that it's an upright type electric, and it's on wheels, got 2 wheels, you push it around. And then I got a 220 volt air compressor that I would sell, and so I got several air compressors.
See you tomorrow night.
Yeah, folks.
Here comes the other
Right.
show.
See ya.
We have a video clip coming up here of it shows us how the Great White Father, all-knowing federal government, came in and rescued us poor, backward, stupid hillbillies back in the 30s and brought us TVA. And, you know, just kind of brought on an age of prosperity that we could never have imagined without their guidance and oversight. Kind of makes you wonder, though, why that Atlanta and Charlotte, which are outside the range of TVA and that massive rebuilding salvation project that they did, how did they manage to get ahead of us in the industry and business? I guess that's just beyond comprehension of us dumb hillbillies. This thing lasts about 30 minutes. Hope you like it. Well, might make you mad, but hope you'll watch it.
More than 300 years ago, the first pioneers crossed the oceans to a new world. A promise called them. The promise of a land where a man could build his own house, farm his own acres, raise his children in freedom. They carved from the wilderness an empire of agriculture and industry. They set for themselves new and higher standards of living. And yet, in one of the great river valleys of America, something went wrong. In the Tennessee Valley, 3 centuries later, the descendants of the pioneers were a neglected people, living in a ruined land. For these children, the hope and the promise were dead. For them, the only future was poverty, ignorance, drudgery. The struggle to scratch a bare living from the reluctant soil. Even the older men had forgotten that the valley had once been bright with promise and with hope. Horace Higgins was one of the many who had given up the fight. "What's the use?" he said. "You fill up those gullies and the first rain washes it away. It's the same with all the land around here. It may have been good land once, but it's bad land now." Bad land, hopeless land. Henry Clark wondered. Erosion, the scientists call it, the eating away of the soil, the destruction which began innocently when the early settlers cut down the forests, when the farmers, out of ignorance, plowed straight furrows down the hillsides. Destruction from the sky. This is the way it was, year after year, in a forgotten part of the United States. This was the havoc caused by greed and neglect, and men working alone and unaided against the forces of nature. Farms, towns, industries smashed, hundreds drowned, thousands made homeless. The energies of the river running to waste. The energies of the people, too. Henry Clark's trouble was the trouble of 3 million Americans in the Tennessee Valley. It became the direct concern of 130 million Americans in the 48 states, a challenge to democracy and its ability to care for its own. The valley of the Tennessee River lies in the southeastern United States. It covers an area of 40,000 square miles, nearly as large as England. It was a problem of reconstruction, reconstruction of land, reconstruction of people. Democracy met the test. It found the men to supervise the job. James P. Pope, United States Senator from the West. Harcourt Morgan, President of the University of Tennessee, who had worked out an agricultural program for the whole area. David Lilienthal, Administrator and champion of legislation for cooperative electric power. George Norris, a great American statesman, who long had dreamed of regional planning, of setting up a national experiment in one region which could serve as a yardstick for every region. This was the plan, to chain the river through a series of giant dams, checking the floods. To open it to navigation from its mouth to its headwaters. give the farmers the benefit of modern science and research, to help them control the water on their land and restore the fertility of the soil, to reforest millions of acres on the ravaged hillsides, to exploit the mineral resources of the area, to use the electric power generated by the dams to develop and rehabilitate industry in the cities, to electrify the farms through rural cooperatives. Above all, to prove that human problems can be solved by reason, science, and education. The Tennessee Valley was to be pioneered again, this time to be developed, not plundered. This time not for the benefit of a few, but for the many who lived in it. These were the new pioneers. The architects, the research chemists, the agricultural experts, the power men, the designers of hydroelectric dams. Their method was to control nature not by defying her, as in the wasteful past, but by understanding her and harnessing her in the service of humanity. In May 1933, a new chapter was written in American public policy when the plan was brought before the representatives of the people in Congress. An act was passed creating the TVA, the Tennessee Valley Authority. President Roosevelt told the nation that the project would set an example of planning not for this generation alone, but for all the generations to come. Then things began to happen in the valley. Many of the valley people, the plan was an intrusion. Years of isolation, ignorance, and bigotry die hard. They said, let the government men do things with machines over the mountain. None of our business. But youth was more inquisitive, and the pioneer spirit was still alive. Over the mountain was something new, big, exciting. The dam builders, 200,000 of them in all, 4,000 on this one project. Valley farmers and miners, mountaineers and city workers. To them, this was more than a job. They had a stake in what they were doing. They were building for themselves and for their children, for the future of the valley. As the months passed, the farmers started coming to the dams to see for themselves. They were impressed by the magnitude of the work. But even the open-minded ones, like Henry Clark, couldn't understand at first just what it all had to do with them. It was the business of John Warden, a TVA agricultural representative, to answer that. It has everything to do with the farmers, he said. The dams are just a beginning. Without the fullest cooperation of the people on the land, they're worthless. There were small meetings up and down the valley. John Warden told the farmers, 10 inches of topsoil supports all the life on earth. Every drop of rain that falls on your fields carries away a bit of this soil. Every time it rains, the gullies, the scars on your fields, grow deeper and wider. Every year, the precious topsoil goes faster. The undersoil is hard and sterile. The water which should have soaked into your land runs off, uselessly. Your topsoil travels with it, uselessly, down to the delta of the river. Millions of tons of good farming soil, lost forever, blowing away with the wind. All this waste isn't necessary. It can be stopped. Your land can be saved if we work together. You've seen the dams, but they're only part of the plan. The rest of it is up to you. If we're to succeed, all of us, you must learn to stop the erosion of your own land. The TVA was created for you, to teach you new methods, to provide you with fertilizers to restore your soil. The land is yours. The dams are yours. The whole TVA is yours. We want you to use it. This is how you can become a part of the plan. We need volunteers to try out the new methods, to prove that they are the right ones. Thousands of farmers have already volunteered. How about you? It isn't easy for men bound by habit and tradition to change their whole way of thinking. John Warden knew the farmers of the isolated back valleys. He had talked to hundreds of groups like this, and he knew they needed time. In signing with the TVA, Henry Clark became what was called a test demonstration farmer. His farm and thousands of others were to serve as laboratories where the new methods could be tested and observed by all. Using a terracer made available by the TVA, John Warden showed Henry the principles of contour farming. This was a radical departure from the old method of square farming. Plowing by contour, Henry learned to follow the curve of the land. No longer could the water run down straight furrows. The curves held it on the land. Then, to put life into the exhausted soil, Henry used a new phosphate fertilizer developed by the chemists from ore found in the region. The first season, Henry's chief crop was clover. This was to provide the soil with nitrogen and revitalize the land. But it wasn't a cash crop. Henry had been warned. Still, when he made up his accounts at the end of the year, he couldn't help but feel, well, he'd sort of set his heart on that new tract. This was the crucial period, the first season. The TVA men had known it would be. They were sure of their equipment and methods, but human minds and emotions were another thing. It was a hard decision for Henry Clark whether he should go on. But he was the descendant of pioneers, of men who had taken a chance, and who had known that their salvation lay in cooperation. The old spirit of the pioneers was reawakened. The dam builders, the farmers, the machines, began to work as one. By the next year, there were results. Henry Clark had the best crop of tobacco ever grown in the county. He was sending substantial quantities of food to market and giving his neighbors plenty of food for thought. They came to see the new fertilizer, the new methods, and the student became a teacher. In the Tennessee Valley that year, 30,000 other demonstration farmers became teachers too. For the next year's harvest, Henry and his neighbors had a threshing machine, especially designed by the TVA experts for this valley. Each group of farmers had a machine. Each farmer had an equal right to its use. No longer was it one man alone against the drought and the flood. For the first time, they were acting together, cooperatively, for a common purpose. And even more important, a change was beginning to come into their thinking. For the first time, they were thinking in terms of each other, what they could accomplish together by working together. With new machinery, new methods, with a definite plan to follow, a plan that embraced them all, the farmers worked and the land responded. When Horace Higgins saw Henry riding his new tractor, he began to understand the real meaning of TVA, that the individual, through cooperation with his fellows, becomes a more important individual. As John Warden says, when you develop people, you have something permanent. The development of people is the first concern of a democracy. In school, the children learn how to use the things that were built for them. They learn how the dams work. Up in the mountains, on the tributary streams, high dams back up reservoirs against the time of drought, releasing the water when it is needed, holding it in check when the rains come. Down the Tennessee River itself, wide dams control the water step by step. Instead of the alternate floods and drought, water can now be dispatched as trains are dispatched on a railroad system. These are the symbols of a nation's constructive energy. Douglas, Guntersville, Cherokee, Wilson, Pickwick Landing, Chickamauga, Hiwassee, Fontana, Hales Bar, Watts Bar, Fort Lauderdale, Wheeler, Appalachia, Norris. Built for and owned by the people of the United States. Day and night, in peace and war, the dams work for the people. Power for the factories, power for new industry, power to run 1 million machines, running out aircraft, tractors, textiles, engines, shoes, fertilizer, aluminum, Cheap and abundant power to light the cities and villages. Power for the farmers. Power that can be converted to 100 homely uses. Power working tirelessly, endlessly, raising standards, reducing drudgery. Power in the hands of the people. The children of the Tennessee Valley have recaptured the hope of their grandfathers. They have learned that the TVA is indeed a yardstick, a measure of what men can build in peace, a measure of the stature of a new and better world, a world with dignity, work, and hope for all, a world a child can walk into.